Good morning and welcome to the Bethlehem Morning Show. Help me make welcome today my co-host, Sergio.
Thank you very much, bro. How's it going? How are you feeling this morning?
Man, I'm good. I feel like I'm sitting like a mile away from you.
I know it, bro. We've got this gap. We've got this Red Sea in front of us, bro.
Yes.
Hey, man. But, dude, I feel great. I had some chicken strips this morning, so I'm ready to go. Fired up.
Chicken strips?
Yes, sir.
Where'd you get chicken strips at this morning?
I got some at our Chevron in Albany. I will say this, though. I don't think we're having any viewers that work there, but they were all right. They weren't too hot, but they weren't too bad. So, you know what? But they got me going, so that's all that matters, right?
They got you. I knew you was running late this morning. I was wondering why.
See, that's a whole nother story, bro. I've learned this. When your alarm goes off, don't snooze it. Let's just be honest, because if you snooze it, you're going to be there for another 10 minutes. So
Well, that's why you said it earlier, man. I mean, me and Kate was talking about that earlier. I mean, you got to set it earlier because you got to snooze for a little while. At least 6 times.
See, our viewers said at least 6 times. You know what? How about we tell our viewers to drop in the comments how many times you guys snooze your alarm?
I'm sure they're still snoozing.
Hey, well, I know people, bro, I've seen people who will write like 10 alarms down, and they're all a minute apart. I'm like, that makes no sense.
I mean, I set 2, and they're like 5 minutes apart. I don't know why. I just do it. I've always done it.
Well, you know, maybe I need to adopt a Craig strategy because what I've got going on ain't working right now.
You have to change it up every once in a while. Like if you wake up normally at 6:05, you need to set it for 6:06 because it's that time change that messes you up there and it wakes you up.
Y'all see that? Y'all are learning about how to set your alarm at the morning show. Isn't that awesome? For a morning show. But how was your weekend this weekend, bro?
Man, everything's been good. Everything's been good.
You didn't go to Nashville out here.
I didn't go to Nashville.
What is
up with you and me going to Nashville?
Well,
You think I go to Nashville a lot and I don't.
I ask him because it seems like every other weekend he comes from Nashville or Trevor's at Nashville. Somebody from your family's always at Nashville, it seems like.
Yeah, you know, Trevor's kind of partial to something in Nashville, so.
Yeah, I wonder what that would be, huh?
Sure.
But anyways, we're glad you guys have joined. Before we continue, don't forget to share, leave a like, leave a comment, tag a family member, a friend. We've got some special guests with us this morning, as you guys can tell, and we will be diving in here shortly. But before we do that, let me open up in prayer. So why don't we bow our heads up here and just let's pray. I thank you, Lord, for this morning, Jesus. I thank you, Lord, for all of our viewers. Lord, I pray you would bless our viewers. God, I pray you would bless everyone that's connected with us this morning. I pray you would bless this time of fellowship, Lord, and what we will be talking about this morning, God. Heavenly Father, this is all for your honor and your glory, Jesus. I'm just so thankful for the opportunity that you give us to be up here, Lord, and to just discuss the things of the kingdom here on the morning show, God. So without further ado, I pray these things in your name, Jesus, with thanksgiving. Amen. So Craig, tell us, who do we have here with us this morning?
Before we get to that.
Before we get to that.
Since you and Brother David Carson made so much fun of me on Elabadate, I can't pass this up, bro.
Come on, go ahead, hit me with it, bro.
I can't pass it. I wouldn't normally point somebody's prayer out, but that
hey, bro,
there,
you know what?
come.
Is that chicken coming
Man,
back
you
up?
talking to the Lord. Talk right.
Is that chicken coming back up?
Chicken strip got in the way, didn't it?
That's right, bro. But tell us, who do we have with us this morning?
Well, we have Sister Alex Murphy with Alex Weber. I'm sorry. Logan's going to get me. She's
Hey, that's what he gets for trying to call
me. My bad.
me.
Yeah, that's exactly
there
right.
There you go. That's why you
exactly
don't
right.
touch not the Lord's anointed.
She's been Alex Murphy longer than she has Alex Weber, so it'll be all right. So anyways, we have Sister Weber with us today. That sounds better, doesn't it? Yep. Sister Weber she teaches a young girls class here in the church, and she is doing a phenomenal job with it. We're so proud of what she's doing, and we're just going to let her just tell us a little bit about it, if she don't mind.
Well, thank you. So it started, I feel like it started a little over a year ago. I don't know if you guys exactly remember, but I feel like it started a little over a year ago. I really had a burden for a certain age group, and I think it stemmed from, so Logan has 2 children. They're not my biological children, but they're my children. And so Reagan was my girl for so long. And then when we made this move down here, it was really hard on our relationship. And since, you know, it's just kind of drifted, and I almost said dwindled, same thing. But I just really had a burden because there's not a whole lot I can do from 10 hours away for my girl. And I noticed that there were sorry, there were a lot of girls at that age, and even some others that were maybe even a little older that were not feeling or didn't seem to be connecting, whether it be in regular church or connecting with other human beings as a whole. And I think that was, at that age, it's such an important transition that if you don't find something to hold you in, you're going to just completely write it off. And then when you get to the age of 18, 19, when you're able to go out on your own, what's church at that point? It's just something my parents made me do, you know. And so I just had more of a burden to have a connection. And honestly, maybe it was more for me. I don't know. They might not get out of it as much as I do, but I just love the connection that we've made since we started this class. And it originally started off, it was going to be right out of the kids' church. So we were going to do, I can't remember, is it 12? It was supposed to be like 12 to 15. But then I realized there were other girls as well that were older, like Mejia, I believe, is like 17. And then we've got Olivia Coker, she's about that age as well. And we have some other ones that are older. They're just not connected as much as some of them their age. That's to nobody's fault or anything like that. But just getting a connection with them and establishing a relationship. So it started off like 12 to 15, and then when I realized there were girls that wanted to come that were older, I was just like, we'll just call it a young teen girls class. And so that's kind of how it started, began, and that's kind of how where we're at now.
That's so good, because when you think back to that age, it's such an odd age. You're transitioning from the children's department to the youth department, and you don't fit in. You don't fit in, you know, because you're too old for one age, you're not old enough for another group that's already there established, and you're just trying to find your way, and you feel lost.
Yeah.
You feel left behind.
Unless you're like really outgoing, like Miss Ava over here. She's so sweet and like makes friends everywhere she goes.
Everywhere.
And that's spectacular, but there are people that aren't like that too. So we also have to not cater, but we have to help and aid in that area. So that definitely is a hard transition.
So needed too today, especially more so than probably when you and I grew up here, which I know there's a little bit of age difference between us, but when we grew up here, you wasn't fighting the depression and the anxiety like you fight today. You know, you did, but you didn't have social media cramming it down your throat, exposing you to more and more that you're like, well, that's just, you know, me being crazy. But it's a real thing, and it's really real at that age, and it's so important. This is so important.
And you mentioned earlier how at the beginning it was about from the ages 12 to 15, right? But how you extended a little bit on the older side. I really appreciate that, because I feel like sometimes those older people, or like the older girls, can be there for like the younger ones, maybe in a sense that they probably wouldn't be normally. And so I bet the younger girls feel like that support, that like, you know, you talk about that transition, that, because sometimes there can be that awkwardness of, man, like I'm intimidated, but if I have these girls with me, they're there to support me and be like, well, hey, we're not as bad as we may, you know, as you may think, you know.
Yeah, it's what my main goal is to bridge that awkward age gap to where you're going from one to the other and you feel like you're in limbo. Because if you don't have a place then you really just, the connection with every aspect of church is almost really hard.
And so in these classes, what do you guys like go over? What is it that you guys talk about? Is it just like general things, or anything like Bible study type of environment? How's that?
When we first started the class, we had a 4-part curriculum that was actually, it belonged to the church already, but it was Daughters of the King, and we started in that, and it started from like why we do this kind of thing, just as women and girls, and we did that 4-part, and then one part that was, it really stuck out to me because we had to extend it from one service Sunday to the next Sunday because it was about communication. You would be amazed. Well, maybe not, because it is the day and age of cell phones, so, but you would be amazed at how many girls were really interested on how do I start a conversation? Like we had two or three Sundays. We even did role plays, like three Sundays where we talked about how to talk. Because, I laugh about this now, but whenever we first started the class, I got in there my first Sunday, I'm telling you, I was nervous. I told these girls when I sat down, I said, I'm not going to lie to you. I'm very nervous. You are intimidating right now because they didn't talk much, you know. They didn't open up. They barely smiled. They did. And so I just expressed, you guys are really intimidating me right now. I'm going to need you to at least crack a smile. And so, but then when we got further in, I mean, we've developed relationships. And after that, about the conversations and how to communicate, I feel like they flourished. I even did like a challenge. They were getting ready to go to competition last year is when it was. And I did a challenge that you need to talk to somebody new. I said you get points for however many people you start a conversation with. And then they came back to me and they were like, I talked to this person and this person. And it was awesome.
That's really awesome, because I know even like sometimes at my age, it's still kind of difficult to communicate and speak to new people, new faces. You know, sometimes you can get so used to just always speaking to the same group, and starting a new conversation with a new person can sometimes be a little challenging, especially when you have an age gap or some differences. You know, and so that's awesome that I mean, I'm sure I'd be interested in sitting down and listening to some to talk about that.
You want to go to the girls' class?
No, I'm not saying that either. But I'm saying that's
off
really
limits,
interesting.
It's off limits. You know, the thing that I learned over years, you know, once I got older and stuff, what I used to think were maybe what people may call cliques, you know, in today's world, or just in general, they're not. They're awkward people that are trying to find their way in through life. You know, people are weird at times. I mean, we can all be weird at times. And that weirdness is us trying to adjust to the atmosphere.
That's just you,
a
Cardi.
lot. No, I'm trying to be serious right now, man. But I am weird, though, like in a good way.
I think every single person is weird. I told the
Absolutely.
girls that one day. Their excuses were as to why I don't talk to people or things like that, which we did dive into that a little bit. But I don't know, I'm weird. Do you know one person that's not weird? Because I don't.
That's yes.
I mean, they might be as normal as you think, like as normal as a person can be. But I promise you, if you get to know them, they're weird. There's weird traits about everybody. But
everybody's got a different way of doing things.
Yeah.
And it's not going to seem normal to some. But when you find that, you look at that, and people attract to other people that are like them. And that's the reason why it seems like we form cliques in the world, you know. But it's not. We're just adapting to our surroundings, and we're trying to find our way, and we try to find our way through what is normal to us. And that's the reason why you may see this group here, this group there, this group there. And that is the importance of what you're doing. You're opening those doors a lot more than what would be opened if this wasn't in play. Because, I mean, people sit down. They don't do things until they're pushed to get out of things. And so I thank you for what you do.
thank you. We talked about a couple of weeks ago finding your place.
Right.
Because there are, I mean, the older youth group, they all pretty much have their niche, if you know what I mean. Like, you know, Sergio plays guitar. Right. He does a morning talk show. He can talk, but not everybody can do that. And then, you know, everybody else has their specific area that they are specializing in, whether it be production, singing, music, things like that. But these girls are still in that transition. Like Ava sings and Kate sings, but there's more. And so we were talking about it a couple weeks ago of the importance of being involved. Because if you're not involved, then you're likely to just sit back, and it's easier to drift away if you don't have something to keep you accountable. And that's one thing this class has done, well, even for myself. I'm a grown adult, but like one thing it's done for me is keep me accountable. And I know that that's really important. And if I'm pushing these girls to get involved in something, then I need to do more, you know?
You know, I really appreciate that because, like she was saying, sometimes you can get, I know it happens to a lot of younger people, they get older. Because, you know, we talk about, you mentioned the transition between, like, coming out of the children's church to the youth. Well, there's then that transition from the youth to the even older age group. And so with that being said, sometimes if you're not connected to the church in some way, like Alex is talking about, you can easily find an excuse to just leave. That's right. Get out. You know, because in your mind, you're like, well, I'm not involved in anything. I'm not doing anything. I'm not doing like music, production. So why do I need to be here? And so I feel like what Alex is doing is accommodating and facilitating that transition to those like ministries and those connections in the church. So that's really awesome that you have, that you're doing that because it really will benefit that age group that you're reaching out to.
It's really teaching people to look into searching for a mentor in life. Because that's what you're being a mentor as a whole right now. Because I can remember growing up here, you know, I had Patrick Wilson as my youth pastor during those days. And, you know, it was like he was my, not just my youth pastor, not just the ball coach, not just, you know what I mean, a guy in the church, but he was a mentor. And when, you know, we all know that story, when he left us, you know, it was like, who's going to fill that can't be filled, you know, and it was like I was lost, and I'm not trying to make it about myself, but even the people that come along behind him, you know, they had a hard battle because, you know, that was a big transition, and I'm just using that to say what you just tagged on to because that's what we're all looking for is a mentor in life. You know, we all need that, and that's what you are being right now. And when we don't have that, it's easy to walk out those doors and never walk back in. You know, it's so easy to walk out those doors and walk back in. So I can't stress enough, even you, Sergio, even you're at the age right now, these young boys in this church, they need a mentor. You know, and I'm not trying to preach at you right now, but I'm just, that's the importance of this because of what you're saying, that transition. You're in that transition right now. So you feel that, you know, and it's so important. I'm telling you, as a young man, it was easy for me to walk out those doors because my mentor had left. Not no one's fault, you know what I mean? Yeah. But my mentor that I looked up to was no longer there. This is great. I'm telling you, you're doing more for these girls than you can imagine.
Crying. I'm literally trying not to now.
Let her rip, girl.
There are times that the devil would fight me, especially in the beginning. He would mainly just say, "What are you doing in that class? There is no reason for you to be in there. Those girls think you're silly. You're crazy," which I am crazy, but he talked to me in that aspect like, you're not going to do anything with this class. What are you wasting your time on? And then there would come a time right when the devil was talking in one ear, then somebody would encourage me and say, thank you. And that's really what's kept me going is the encouragement of mothers and others throughout the church that have spoke to me and encouraged me in what I'm doing. And so it's hard when you're doing the right thing because the devil is going to talk to you. And Logan let me listen to a sermon the other day from Elevation Worship. Brother Stephen Furtick was talking, and he said, you'll probably never hear another pastor say this, but you should listen to your enemy. And we're like, well, why? Because if they're talking to you, if they're bothering you, you're probably doing something right.
That's good stuff. Let's hear from some of these girls. This is the moment they've been waiting on. Now, Asia, tell us a little bit about some stuff that you've gotten out of this.
So,
how this has helped you.
Before I started coming to the class, as Alex said, I'm one of the older ones. So, I thought really I couldn't come, but of course Alex made me feel welcome. And before I really came to this, I kind of still am, but I was a really shy person. I didn't know any of these girls, really, besides Ava and Kate. I didn't really know them, and I didn't really have a relationship with them, and I wasn't one to go and be spontaneous and just start a conversation. So I guess really just being in the class and having Alex's guidance help us, it's really just made us all grow as one. And not only has it helped us grow, but we have girls that probably don't really understand why we dress the way we dress or do the things that we do. And with Alex's help and the stuff that she teaches us, it really just helps us understand who we are, what we're called to be. And I just feel like that's what really most of us girls need. It's just, I guess, the sisterhood that we've all bonded together.
Need to feel like you belong. That's what we're all longing for, is to feel like we belong to something. That's good. That's really good. Ava?
What I got from this class, I didn't really feel connected before. I gained relationships with the girls that I never even really talked to. And, sorry, but I get along with them and, like, I just relate to them, like, so much. And, I don't know, they feel like sisters. But I'm so thankful that you started this class because I don't know where I would be without it.
Yeah, this is so good, because if you know Ava, you know Ava is a social butterfly. Well, you've already heard us talk about how she does not meet a stranger. I mean, I don't care where you carry her. We were at Strong Tower in North Carolina. I've had the opportunity to go with the youth group the last 2 years in a row. This girl is with someone new every time you see her, and you're like, they're best friends. I mean, she's not about, oh, I just met her a while ago. So for her to sit here and say that, you know, how this has really helped her to connect and feel like she's a part of something is big, because when I tell you this girl don't meet a stranger, she does it. That's amazing. I'm good. Go on and cry, Alex. I know you're wanting to.
I'm trying so hard not to right now.
This is good. All right, Kate, your turn.
I'd say that we all just got a lot closer because we didn't really have any relationship with each other, like, at all before the class. Like, I've known him since I was little, but we didn't talk. And now I'd say we're all really, really close. We do different activities, like off Sundays and stuff. We have girls' nights and go to church services together, and it's fun. We have fun.
Go ahead.
I feel like with, like, us getting out and Alex getting us all together, like, on the weekends, that, like y'all said, the girls want to feel understood and welcomed. And I think that's another thing that really just makes us feel connected with one another. Because I'm sure you can ask all of them, and they would have said that if it wasn't for Alex in the class that we have today, that all of us would either be drifting apart, or I'm sure there would be some girls that wouldn't even be in church. But I feel like with this class that we have and the stuff that we go over, and I guess the love that you feel when you walk in, that it makes them want to stay. It makes them want to come back because they feel a part of something. And
Well, I can't take all the credit, though. I did start the class, so I have been the main teacher throughout, but my sister, I wanted my sister to be a part of it with me, and so my sister and myself, we're both pretty outgoing, and we're both very, we're both crazy, probably equally so, but we both had a different dynamic. Like, she and I are similar, but we have different personalities a little. I don't know if you could say that. We're kind of a lot alike. But she would relate to some of them because she is a little bit younger. And then whenever Tori left and went to a different church, it really was hard for me because I was like, I leaned on her a lot being there. But then I prayed about who was going to come in next because it was such a good dynamic. I didn't want to ruin what we already had with the relationship that we had. Not that anybody coming in was going to ruin anything. I don't mean it that way. But I had to be careful. Because with this age, there were, and working towards getting away from that, but so much hurt in their past. And not all of them, but some of them. And I didn't want to ruin that trust and that we had built with each other. And then I did bring in some speakers a couple times. Sister Moretta came in and spoke once, and it was spectacular. And Sister Pat Wilson came and spoke, and she did a dating series with all of us. It was so good, and I'm married. It was great. It was so good. It was. And she did that for about 4 weeks, and we were so thankful for that. Those girls really loved it. And then Sister Kim has been coming into our class, and she's been really, really helpful for me. Sister Kim Allen Colbert, I always call her Allen, but I have to be careful. It's like me being Murphy. She's always been Kim Allen. She has really just helped a lot. Like, the first outing we all had as a group, we went to a service in Olive Branch, and that was Sister Kim's idea, was to get out and go do something that day. She was like, we can take the van. So we did, and she's been coming into our class, and I'm just really grateful for everybody's input that they've had and an example that they've left. Because I'll be honest with you, I'm not very creative when it comes to coming up with a lesson, or I'm obviously not a sermon, but you know what I mean. It's really hard for me to do that kind of thing. Sometimes it's a struggle, but they are having different people come in and speak to the girls. It just really helps. Also realize they're real people too, because you see people here, and one thing about Pentecost, sometimes we've worshiped for so long that sometimes it just looks pretty. I don't know. It sounds kind of silly. But, sometimes people have worshiped for so long, they've got their worship down to an art. Not that it's not repetitive and not that but I'm saying we see them across the room, but we don't know them. But bringing them in and giving their testimonies has really helped me and them, I think, to realize they're real people. They've had struggles too.
And you talked about, like you mentioned, like watching people like worship. You can watch them for so long but not really know them. I'm sure, like sometimes, like when you get those guest speakers, it makes you realize why they worship the way they do.
Yes.
And it brings because one of the common themes I just kept hearing from the four of you was this sense of unity, like how there's just such a strong bond, and it just seems to get stronger and stronger with the activities, the guest speakers, like you guys, you interacting with each other, and so it's so cool because there's that vulnerability. It seems like of hey,
yeah.
I've been there, or I'm going through that too, and I'm here to help you, and that's awesome. It's awesome. That's kind of rare, I think one of the things what you were talking about is in the church, one of the things that I think we need more than ever is unity, and I think that's really producing that through this group of young girls. So that's awesome.
So good, because we're living in a day today that is more bold than we've could ever imagine. So that's the importance of us, the church, especially imparting into this younger generation that, hey, look here, we're dealing with the same things that you're dealing with. This is just how we're dealing with them, and this is how we have dealt with them. It's so important for the whole church to be in that mindset, because people are trying to find their way in a world that is more evil than we could ever have imagined it being today.
That's true.
This has been fun. I've enjoyed this.
Me too. Thank you.
So tell us real quick, you talked about some outings and stuff like that, because I know when, growing up here, we always did stuff. We have some of the best preachers and teachers that we could imagine. You actually even said that you find it hard to teach sometimes. I know I do. When I'm asked to lead to Be Free, I'm like, well, what can I say that they're not already hearing in church,
Yeah.
I mean, my Lord. But we're able to teach in our own ways, and that's hard to just kind of sit down and consume at times,
It is.
I do have something to offer. I just have it in my own way, because we get the best of the best.
We do.
And it's hard to, your common nature is to try to measure up, and I can't do that.
I know we're close.
They ain't happening.
I didn't mean you, I meant me.
Right.
But
That's
whatever.
right. Yeah, for sure though. But it's so good though, because we have such phenomenal leaders to look up to, and that we're coming up under. But we're able to do the same work in our own ways, and we're so fortunate to be able to have these opportunities here at Bethlehem. I mean, there's a place at Bethlehem for everyone. When you hear us say that, it's more than just what we're saying. It's more than just words. It is more than just words, and you're needed. You're needed. So this is so good. I love it. I was going to ask you though, and I got to rambling. These outings, growing up here, I know that was one of the main things, just going places. We talk about preaching and teaching. We talk about church. We do great church. We have great church. I mean, we have great church. Tell us a little bit about these outings, because people like to have fun too.
Yeah, that's where it all starts with this age group.
Yes.
Because if they aren't having fun, then you probably are going to not get their attention at all. At all. So once they start realizing you can have fun, but you can also have good, clean fun, and you have that with a church group and not just your friends from school, because it's always good to have outside friends. But it's really important to be able to connect with each other and have fun together. So the last thing that we did was at my house, we had a color party, and we all, Kate won. She picked the color pink, and the whole thing was you brought food that matched the color, and you wore that outfit, whatever. It was just something different, rather than just come over and watch a movie. And Kate showed up and showed out. She did. She said, "Go big or go home." She had on pink from head to toe. But it's just good fun, and we like going to church services and things, but also at this age, it's important to know that you can have a life that's not inside of a church service every single thing you do. Because if you are not doing things outside of church, you rarely, unless you go to a public school, you don't really have an opportunity to witness to anybody either.
You said it when you was talking about having fun, and it's important for us to still have friends outside of the church. If we don't teach each other and don't learn together how to have fun, clean fun, like you said, how are we going to ever get the attention of somebody that's in the world having worldly fun? How are we going to ever show them clean fun if we don't participate in it? So that's so good. It's really good, for sure. Do you want to teach a young boys class too? Because I have some young boys that need.
I think we have one.
Good.
Yes, we have one.
Good.
But I do want to do some outings together. There's not as many boys as there are girls at this age, but there are some, and there's like 3 or 4 or 5 maybe.
They're really weird, aren't they?
No, no, we're all weird guys. Kate said yes.
Well, maybe we can get something going here soon. That'll be good. That'll be good. Well, we have so enjoyed this today. Have y'all enjoyed being up here? They were so nervous when they first got up here. It's like, well, I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say. I mean, But it would what? You're supposed to talk in the mic.
It really hit me when it first started. I was shaking everywhere.
I didn't know what she's talking about at first. It really hit me when we first started. Okay. Thank you all, though, so much for coming on with us. We have enjoyed this so much. You got something you want to say?
Just really quick, though. For the people that are watching this, if there is young girls or young girls that would like to come to church, we would really appreciate them to come to our class to see what's really all about. And for the ones that are in the church and are probably kind of scared, don't be. Because it's amazing, and it gets to grow. And you never know, God could use you to reach your outside of church friends, to pull them into church, and then, you just win souls. So.
Sister Alex, real quickly, to follow up on that, when is the regular class time for this class?
So we meet in the sanctuary at 10, and at offering, once everybody gives their offering, we go to class. And today it's actually going to be in the school cafeteria. So if you're here and you want to come, it's in the school cafeteria over that, whatever way they're looking up.
What age group?
12 plus.
12 to whatever.
12 and beyond.
12 to whatever. Yeah. Ava?
But for anybody that's watching that's in the age group, well, but it really has felt like a home to me, sort of, because I have somebody to talk to, someone to look up to, honestly, somebody to cry to sometimes, laugh with, just have fun with. It's what a girl needs sometimes.
We all cry together, and it's good, clean cries.
We have fun in there too. We do our lesson, which is always so good, and then we talk and we drink coffee and we have fun, so it's not boring.
You
The
drink
coffee's
coffee?
great.
Yeah.
You're not allowed to come. I'm sorry.
The coffee is great.
I mean, y'all talking about coffee.
Yeah,
Y'all
Craig, don't
just
get
some
any
more people
ideas
there.
now, co-host.
What kind of coffee y'all make?
Just Walmart coffee.
Oh, just Walmart coffee.
Us
Okay.
Hey, we
drink
got all the
creamer,
creamer
The creamer, the girls drink creamer with a hint of coffee.
Yeah, they do.
I mean, I will have 3 bottles of creamer and it will be gone.
I used to do a little coffee with my sugar.